This week marks 1 week since the conflict in Europe started. With me is a Ukrainian lawmaker who is here in Delhi. So welcome to WION. You're also on the Committee on European Integration. My first question to you is an obvious question, since this week marks the unfortunate anniversary of the conflict that has started. What is the situation on the ground?
Well, first, a small comment. The war of Russia against Ukraine started back in 2014 with illegal annexation of Crimea and continued throughout the 9 years now. And the escalation or full-scale invasion that happened on 24 February has, of course, demonstrated to the whole world that world should have reacted back in 2014 with new measures to stop Russia from doing what they are doing now. The situation on the ground is, of course, extremely difficult. Unfortunately, the strategy of Russia in Ukraine is to destroy Ukraine, kill as many civilians as possible, destroy the infrastructure, and the war, which has been escalated recently again, call for all the nations around the world to be more active in efforts to stop this.
What role you see for India in terms of the resolution of the conflict?
The global power, which India is, the leader of the global south, gives India this unique chance of becoming the country which can very quickly, if needed, persuade Russia to stop, withdraw troops, and have meaningful conversation about what sort of peace arrangements we can have. India now, the president of the G20 summit this year, also has this unique opportunity to bring a lot of very important people together, leaders of the G20 countries, and we are very hopeful that Ukrainian leadership will be invited to participate in these discussions and possibly negotiations, because we know that the world understands very well the nature of this war, the reasons for this aggression, and therefore the time has come for serious discussion. But that discussion has to take place in the presence of Ukrainian leadership. That would be the only way to actually have fruitful discussion and possible resolution. And we also hopeful that interparliamentary dialogue will intensify. Unfortunately, we don't see that yet. We don't have a friendship group, for example, with Indian Parliament, and that is something that we will be working on. And we extended invitation to our Indian colleagues to come and see with their own eyes what's happening in Ukraine. And this interparliamentary dialogue, this people-to-people actually dialogue, is something that we are very hopeful for, because we have seen this having a very serious effect on the position that representatives of those countries who have visited Ukraine and had seen with their own eyes what's happening on the ground. They often had a change of heart and change of their political position.
Your presence here in Delhi, I mean, have you met any officials, spoken about the ongoing conflict, and if yes, what has been their response?
Yes, I had the pleasure of meeting some parliamentarians. These were unofficial meetings. We have informed our colleagues about the events in Ukraine. We have extended the invitation to visit Ukraine and to do other events which will help to provide more information and increase the willingness of India to be more involved in helping us to stop the war and resolve this conflict. And we had seen a very positive response. The assistance that India has been given to Ukraine, humanitarian assistance, was very important in the way that we see the desire, we see the political will, and of course the capabilities of India to be a very, very serious player in this particular case. But we also see a lot of potential for another very important issue, which is the reform of international institutions. Obviously, the United Nations, which is made to prevent such conflicts and quickly mediate them, was not very effective, let's put it, let's be honest. We see the need of changing that. We see the need of the Security Council be extended. And we see no reason why such the largest country in the world, the largest democracy, should not be a permanent member, for example, of the Security Council. We're sure that if it was that way, the situation would have been very different.
So do you fear that this week might see intensification of the conflict, because this week is the 1-year anniversary week of the conflict? So do you see more perhaps action by the Russians in and on Ukrainian territory?
The truth is that Russian aggression, totally unjustified and illegal, showed that Russia doesn't need any sort of specific dates or any sort of specific reasons. They make up the reasons when they want to. They do like dates and other symbolism, unfortunately, and yes, we already see intensification on the front lines. However, they are not very successful, and Ukrainian forces have demonstrated the capability of refuting any sort of Russian attacks. We prepared, we're ready for that, and the position that the world has taken, the leadership of different countries, that the world will be with Ukraine until Ukraine prevails in this unjustified war, is of course one of the main causes for the courage and for the resilience that Ukraine has shown. We will refute this attack.
So very, very briefly, because we are running out of time, how do you see the visit of President Biden in Kyiv?
That was a very timely visit for both the symbolism, to show the support, and to show that Russia will never succeed in threatening Ukraine, in threatening the world. We are not scared. We do know what to do. We do have enough support coming from around the world, from our close allies, to not only defend ourselves, but also to bring Russia to justice for this unjustified war of aggression. And the visit from the US President Biden has given this very clear message to Russian leadership. You are in a position to end this conflict, to end this war, and to resolve this conflict. Otherwise, you will face very, very serious consequences. No one's afraid of you.
Well, thank you so much, sir, for speaking to WION. It was a pleasure having you here.